Welcome back to the iWealth podcast. I'm with Shawn Pomeroy and JP Eykyn from the Waseca office. Guys, thanks for being here. So just this morning, I had a client that I spoke to that talked about why their beneficiaries were X. So they just did their estate plan and changed their beneficiary, why there wasn't contingent beneficiaries. Like, I just want to get into this a little bit. Shawn, we'll start with you. Like, why do you ask for estate planning documents? Like, you get taxes, we talked about that, but why do you also get their wills and things like that? And then what are some things, with transition to JP, like what are some things that we see over and over again that are kind of sins, so to speak? But
Yeah.
why do you ask for it?
Well, I'll start with your last part, that I don't think everybody understands how estate planning and beneficiary processes work. And we're the perfect person to sit in between a client and that estate plan to be able to understand what their goals are and then help translate it back and keep working on it until it's right. So if we can ask a client to bring in their estate plan documents, and we've had those conversations about what their goals are, and we know the dynamics of their family, we've talked about their children and whether they're, spenders or savers or maybe disabled or something like that. We've got that whole story, and we can now look at the documents and the accounts and make sure it's set up right.
Yeah. JP, let's pick on my kids here for a minute. So I'm your client, and I have two young adult now, children, but I also have a bunch of life insurance. And if Trudy and I died, I don't know how they're going to handle that money. But yet in my 401k, I have listed, my kids as contingent, and, I've got them listed on all my accounts as my beneficiaries. But I have a legal document, that says that I don't want them to get it all when I die. Like, I want them to wait a while. Like, have you seen that come across your desk, and what do people need to pay attention to?
So the biggest thing to key on there is that Brad said he has beneficiaries on his 401k, because any beneficiaries that he has listed on any of his accounts are going to supersede anything that he has put in his will to provide his kids guidelines. Now we've talked on previous podcasts about inheritance and transition and making mistakes spending things.
Right.
So one thing that clients can do in their estate plan is put some guardrails on the side of how Brad's kids inherit that money and how they can use it to make sure that they're not making the same mistakes that others might make.
Right. Maybe I want them to wait till they're 60 to get the money. Maybe I'm that grumpy old dad, Shawn, that says you're not getting it.
I don't know if they'll visit you.
But it is true. Like, we see beneficiaries on things, or a trust that's written up. Like, have you came across that where the trust is written up and they have? So give me an example of that.
Yeah, I mean, people will have a trust document, and then I'll say, okay, we'll have you transfer the title of your house into your trust. They don't know. If the lawyer didn't do it that day, they have no idea. Well, let's pull this out, pull that out, and take a look. That whole concept of the beneficiary trumping the estate plan, again, is very hard for people to understand. And if you've done all the work to set something up, you got to fund it. You got to name the right things. You got to list the estate as your beneficiary. We got to have some legal advice on some of these things, but we got to get all that to align.
Yeah. Are trusts bad? I mean, I've heard from clients, well, I don't know if I want to trust. They're expensive. Are they bad? Like, how would you answer that, JP?
I would answer that by saying not everyone needs one. Not everyone's plan needs super specific guidelines. Or you can do a will with a trust provision is another thing that we see used a lot. But trusts aren't bad. There's definitely a individual with unique circumstances that has very specific guidelines that they want followed, where it might make sense for them to create a trust and then transfer property into that.
Right.
But it's not a one size fits all. And I definitely recommend, maybe seeking additional information before you go to an attorney and they write you up a trust and that's it.
Yeah, get another opinion. Shawn, probate. Is probate bad? Like, people hear probate and they're like scared to death, but what is it? Like, is it bad?
Yeah, probate is simply the court system helping us, transfer assets. So we can kind of self-guide that by beneficiaries. We don't need the court to step in. That idea of establishing a trust, if we do that, there's trust that we can have established at our death through our will, and there's trust that we can establish today. Part of that's a pay now, pay later. If I pay now, either with my time and effort or my money, to have that trust established today, I'm doing it on my terms. I'm doing it on my time.
And no probate.
Right? It's all done today. My kids, maybe they're younger, maybe they're older. Maybe it's going to be my sister or something like that. That's maybe not at the capacity level to do a probate. I can handle that myself today by doing it correctly, with the trust documents and moving the assets today.
Yeah. Probate is public. So having a
That's
trust keeps it out of the public. I always tell clients, like, if you have beneficiaries on things, it won't be probated, right? If somebody walks into your office, JP, and mom passed away, and they're the beneficiary, there's no court system involved. Like, we need a death certificate, and we process that death claim. We don't have it.
Yeah, I would just say sometimes something that's missed is people think just because they have a will drawn up that avoids probate. They said that the house goes to the kids, but that doesn't avoid probate, and they still have to go through that. So sometimes it makes sense where bank accounts or a TODD on the house is missed. If the beneficiary, if the will just reads everything goes to Brad and Shawn equally, I can go down to the county and put a TODD on my house, and it goes directly to Shawn and Brad, and they don't have to go through the probate process on that. And I'd say that's one of the biggest things that is missed, and we might try to encourage.
Yeah, many clients don't need a will. They still probably should have one.
Exactly.
Because for the asset that gets missed, or you just decided to sell the house and buy a motorhome, and now it's not listed correctly and stuff like that. You still need it as a backup.
What's so cool about this conversation is the fact that this is what we do every day, right? It's not this great mutual fund or this great stock. Like, we have really good investments and have people, but it's these conversations. We're not attorney drawing the documents, but we're going to review the documents and give good advice and be that quarterback that we talk about for our clients, which is really, really cool. Just in closing, one of the things that I also think that I'm very proud of is we've helped a lot of clients get their estate planning documents done. So we don't do them, but we allow some attorneys to come into our office, meet with clients, and get their stuff done. We don't revenue share or nothing, but we just want to get them. We keep track of how many of our clients have their estate plan done. It's like 27%. Like, a lot of people need to do this planning and they don't. And then they come back next year and they said, oh yeah, I got to get to it. And they come back, like, we've all been there. And so to stop that chain of, I hope I get it done, we've now been able to get 50 plus estate plans done in our office, which is really cool for our clients.
And I believe if we weren't there talking about it, that number of 27% wouldn't be more than 5.
Yeah.
Most people would not have their estate plan done if somebody's not asking them about it. The next meeting, have we made progress? Have you thought more about? And then eventually they're comfortable, and it's all right. Let's make that attorney meeting.
It's not fun.
Then it's easy, right? Then it's
Exactly.
easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
No one wants to talk about passing away or being incapacitated or having to have a medical emergency.
Right. Yeah. Not everybody's going to live to 129 like me, JP.
Exactly.
So. All right, with that, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Hopefully you found something helpful there. If you need anything, let us know, and have a great day.